A tool is but the extension of a man's hand, and a machine is but a complex tool. And he that invents a machine augments the power of a man and the well-being of mankind. This is Bearded Viking Woodworks, episode 17, Stuck on Sawdust. Here we go. Rock stars, welcome to the shop. I'm Daniel, for those who don't know, with Bearded Viking Woodworks. In this video, we're kicking off 2024 with some scrap wood projects that are easy to make, that pack a big ass profit, and friendly to every skill level woodworker. For my friends to the north, as well as those in the south that wear boots, if y'all are anything like me, you struggle with getting your boots off sometimes, especially leather boots, as they tend to tighten up around your foot in the cold weather. Well, have I got the perfect project for you guys. We're starting off with this badass boot jack. This thing is super simple to make, and we're gonna customize it and put our own spin on it. So meet me at the table saw. All right, guys, so I've got this piece of, I believe what it's called is tiger wood. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it's called tiger wood, and it's basically got the density of ipe or ironwood. And I got this from my local supplier, and he wound up giving me a whole bunch of cutoffs from a deck that they had going on. And I have been looking for the perfect project to use this piece for, and I've got several of them laying around, so I may make a couple of these boot jacks out of these pieces. But we're definitely going to use this piece for the first boot jack. This is 5.5 inches wide and 16.5 long. So first things first, I need a boot. So yeah, I guess I'll take off my boot. Oh yeah, my point exactly. Oh God. Oh. All right, let's see here. So this is the best way to figure out the size of your notch. So let's go ahead and trace this boot out. I'm just gonna line up my heel where it's square right here, right up against the edge of this piece, and try and get it center. Now let's take our pencil and scribe that out. And there we have it. Let me put my boot back on. All right, so I'm gonna take and narrow my boot back right here. That way when I go to put my boot in, it'll kind of get snug right toward the back side. And I've got this little kit that came with a bunch of these little stencils, and I'll leave a link in the description to this. It comes in handy often. So I'm just gonna line it up with my mark and just scribe out this edge. So here's where my original boot went. It went a little wider right here. So I just narrowed it just a little bit, about 1/4 inch on either side. And then I'll take the other part of that jig and I'll connect this line here with this line. Perfect. So now we just cut this shape out with our jigsaw. We'll clean this up at the belt sander. So over here at the miter saw, I'm just going to cut a little 10-degree taper going back. All right, I'm liking that. So over here at the router table, we're just going to put a little chamfer and soften up these edges a little bit. So back over here at the miter saw, we're going to cut a 15-degree bevel at 1 inch. And that's square to long of a 15-degree bevel. So before we nail this on, I just thought of doing some cuts some shallow cuts right across the back side, and I think that'll give it a cool looking effect. So we can just take our piece with our miter sled, raise your blade up a little bit, and butt your saw blade until you're square on your saw blade, because remember we put that little angle chamfer going down here. So I'm just gonna line that up with my blade while I let it rest against my miter sled, and that'll make sure our cuts are nice and square. So yeah, nothing special, just wanted to make a little funky design there and help grip the boot that you're stepping on. All right, so from the back side, we're gonna pull up. I'm about to pull up 4 3/4, and that's where our nailer will go. Make a mark there. And we're gonna add some wood glue, but first we need to wipe this tiger wood down with some mineral spirits. You can use alcohol if that's all you got, but you definitely want to wipe it down because the oils in this really dense wood like this will not allow that glue to cure properly. So keep that in mind. And we're gonna add a dab of glue. And just center this thing right on your piece. And we're just gonna add 2 brad nails to it. They're 1 1/4 brad nails. And there we go, folks. Let's get this bad boy sanded down and put some finish on it. And we're just gonna add some quick dry poly to it. Nothing special. Man, that thing is pretty damn cool. Wow, you guys, I'm really liking the look of this thing. It's got that rustic look for sure. Now, before we jump into the next item I'm gonna do for this video, let's talk about the boot jacks I saw online. Look at what they're asking for these things. That's wild. I've only seen like 2 or 3 that were under 50 bucks, and they weren't even wood. These things, every wood boot jack that I've seen is above 50 bucks. And that is crazy. And if you look on certain sites, it'll show you how many people have it in their cart or how many people have viewed it in the last 24 hours. These things are hot right now, especially during the winter time for people up north because of the snow. But definitely look into making these, and I plan on making a shit ton, especially because I've got a lot of scraps that can make this piece. And you can even do it out of laminated pieces. I wouldn't recommend doing it out of plywood just because the majority of people keep them on the porch, not inside their house. So definitely want to look into using a dense hard wood that can handle the weather pretty well. And this stuff is used for decking, so this would definitely hold up to the test of time. So we're going to stick with the scrap wood theme, and we're going to be making this phone holder change bowl next. This thing is super cool, and wait till you see the price tag of these things. I've got plenty of scrap wood that can make this, so let's head over to the table saw and put our creativity to work. So I've got this awesome piece of scrap wood that has this funky little cutout that I made a charcuterie board out of, and I want the change bowl to be right in this section here. And obviously it's an oblong shape, and I need to be careful of where I center it on my bowl jig, which is going to give me the change bowl that I want. So I've got a hole here that marks center of that blade, and I line up my bolt to my jig with the apex of my saw, which is where the blade makes contact with the surface, and I've got it centered going this way as well with the kerf. So I know that that is going to be where my blade breaks contact. I need at least 3 inches in diameter for this change bowl. So I got to make sure to put my piece on this jig correctly and in the right spots. So I'm just going to eyeball this. For your piece of scrap, just do the same thing. Just kind of eyeball it for yourself of where you might need it to be. And I'm liking it right about here. So that's what I'm going to go with. All right. So loosen up your bolt. Slide your piece in there. Drop your bolt down, and right there it should bottom out. And then we just need to tighten these nuts. Now make sure your blade is all the way down. When you start raising your blade, listen carefully, and as soon as you hear it break the surface of your piece, start turning your piece slowly. Once you make that turn completely, raise your blade only 1/4 turn at a time. No more than that. You want this to be safe and effective. Let that stop completely and then check your progress. Now you want to drop your blade all the way again and then tighten these nuts. Oh yes, that is marvelous. Exactly what we wanted. So now we need to cut out for our phone slot. So let's get rid of this jig. Let's just kind of take our phone and hold it to where if we set it in here, it feels right. So we're gonna put a little angle on this slot. So let's turn our table saw to a 15-degree bevel. And we're gonna go about 3/8 of an inch wide for this slot. See how that works. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot. So now what we need to do is drill a hole smack dab in the center of our slot. And we're going to take our speed square and just line it up with the center of our slot and then square across the bottom of our piece. And then we'll take and measure. We got 5 1/2, so we'll go 2 3/4. And that is the center of our hole for our slot. So let's head over to our drill press and get this drilled out. This bit is 7/16, which should work perfect. And I've got this little wedge just to counter for my 15 degrees, and that should make it right. I'm just gonna take my punch right where that drill bit needs to go. If you don't have one of these, get one. They're only a couple bucks. And that is perfect. And they're still shooting fireworks even though New Year's is over. Now let's head to our router table and we're going to cut a slot from the whole back for our charger to go under, because I don't have a wireless charger for this project. And I've got a 1/4 inch straight bit for my router. And that's perfect. So now I'm just going to do a little bit of shaping of my piece. And before I do anything else, I'm just going to shape a little chamfer right along this edge here, just to soften it up a bit. All right, guys, so we're gonna get this thing sanded down, slap some finish on it, and I'll meet you back at the workbench. Hey guys, so let's slap some shellac on this thing and watch this bad boy come to life. We'll let this dry up and I'll meet you back at the workbench. I wanted to give y'all a quick update on that wine caddy I made about a week ago. This thing just sold January 1st and I got full asking price at 60 bucks for it. So just wanted to give y'all that update. Ultimately, it took about 8, maybe 9 days to sell, but it went out of there pretty damn quick, so I'm excited about that. So I got to get this bad boy out of here. I packaged it up last night and weighed it and measured it and everything, and the shipping came out to $8, so I was spot on with the shipping cost. And keep in mind, with Etsy or any online shop that you may be posting your items to, they're going to charge you about a 20 cents fee for 4 months of publishing that item on their site. So keep that in mind. And then when you make a sale on your published item on their site, I know Etsy charges a 6.5% fee. And there's no getting around paying fees. You're going to pay fees anywhere you go. So just keep that in mind. So overall, my profit on this piece was $49.75. And that, rock stars, is a big ass profit. All right, guys, we got this thing all finished up, and the slot that I cut in this piece is for your phone charger to sit in. And I angled it just enough to where when you plug in your phone into the charger, it sits flat in here. But I just wanted to show you all that. And if you want to use it like this, you don't have to go through that slot. You can have it like this if you want to sit it on your little end table and play some music or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can do it however you like. This piece was super fun to make, and I did it out of scrap wood, and that's the beauty of scrap wood, is you can take your imagination and have fun with oblong scraps. If you have any kind of funky shapes, just kind of incorporate around it, and that's what I did for this piece. And then for the boot jack, I'm not going to post this boot jack on Etsy. I'm actually going to keep this because it works so damn well that this one's staying with me. But I am going to make a few here in the near future, and I'll keep y'all updated. But I want you to look at what they're asking for their phone holder / change bowl. $53. Is that a fair price? I mean, it could be. I probably would ask $45 for mine, just because it's made out of this beautiful figured Claro walnut, and it's custom. So with custom pieces, you can make all kind of designs. Theirs, you can get the engraving options, and I'll do that as well, where people can ask for a certain engraving, and that's definitely a great personalization option for the buyer. So I'll definitely be offering a personalization option of engraving. I want y'all to check out one of my members' wall sconces that he made. These things are super cool, badass, and just different, and I really like them. So Greg, good job, brother. These are badass. Rock stars, I really hope this video has inspired you to get in your shop and make some sawdust. I'm Daniel, and this has been Bearded Viking Woodworks. Until next time, make some sawdust. Thanks, guys.